And at this time, I would like to introduce again Bob Harris, or Robert G. Harris, one of the most outstanding, illustrator we have in the portraiture field. He didn't stay with us too long, those of us who were around then, but boy was he good while he was there. Bob Harris is going to give us a slideshow of some of his work. He will welcome questions as you go along. Feel free, let him have the questions, or hold them for the end if you like.
Hope you're all ready for a show. I'll do it. I've seen this.
Use the mic, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
These pictures are white lines of slides. Slides that we took on tear sheets. These are not original. And there's a few black and whites in this group. They're friends of mine. I kind of grew up within the business. So if you don't mind, we'll start this thing off. And if you don't like it, you don't sit down, get out of your way. What comes on? Before I went into the pulp business, and this was my means of transportation anywhere I wanted to go. I had to use a motorcycle. This was taken about 1933. No, it was not. It was 28. So there's been a little change in farm and motors. I'm on the engine. This was taken at the Kansas City Art Institute from Mr. Cruz's illustration class. The model happened to be a girl from California who was there spending 6 months of the year as a model for the whole school. This is the first Western that I ever did. And this was done in the illustration class. This is all black and white. This is the group from Kansas City that came to New York as I did. The first one on the left, reading to the right, is John Falter. Next is Emery Clark. And the girl is Margaret Lieberman, who did some pastel work for Screen magazines. My teacher, Monty Cruz, and my studio mate, you might say, Richard Lyman. And the one under the hat is me. This was about 1932. In John Falter's studio. This was the studio that was built for artists in probably about 1900. This is in my studio in the same building. And this Mr. Rosh, who did the photography, was one of Rockwell's main characters for many years. An elderly gentleman, a lot of character, strictly fairy tale type, but he happens to be a good photographer. This is the first pulp that I ever did, and it was for thrilling. Ned Pines was the portraiture, and I tried to get into Street and Smith for my first go-around, but it just so happened that the art director was not in at the time. So I went around the corner and went into the drilling offices and then picked up my first job. This is what I appeared, or how I appeared at that time. The picture at the upper right is in the Roundup magazine, and I'll show you a little bigger picture now. The one is on the easel is a thrilling ranch picture, just underway in charcoal. That is the finish on it. Some of the signatures don't appear on these covers. They weren't purposely erased. Why you can't see them, I don't know. It may be lettering over that signature. Tom came in from New Jersey after I had had the studio in about 1933. And we had studios back to back for about 4 years. Tom Lovell. Of course, the handsome one you can tell. This is 1936. And Tom Lovell is posing for the meanie in the background. We posed a lot for each other at that time, just because we were there and we could work at it together. This is a Nick Eggenhofer sketch for one of the Wild West Weeklies. And he gave me this one day in our sanctum at Street and Smith. I took a tickle of the head of this. I think it's one of his very good ones. This is the roundup that is in the right-hand upper corner of that picture in the studio. Yeah. There again is Tom Lovell in the background. And my dear wife in the foreground. We all had a hand in this business, and I think it was just a necessity. Model hire was a little bit too much for us to take at the time. This is a writer named Dick Sale, who wrote the first novel called Not Too Narrow, Not Too Deep, and was eventually called in the movie Strange Cargo with Joan Crawford and Clark Gable. This is one of the relaxing moments in our apartment there in the hotel. He was always up to things of this nature, and he was a very rapid writer. As a matter of fact, he did one story under duress in 2 hours in the editor's office. This is an artist, Charles LaSalle, who did several pulps. He wasn't known for pulp work, especially, but at this particular time that this was taken, he posed for me in this picture, a double action. And this is a picture of William Timmons, who did the first cartoon strip type pictorials for Wild West Weekly. And he did them for about 4 or 5 years until they quit. And then he started doing covers for Astounding. And from then on, I kind of lost track of Bill. But we used to see him a lot. Now there's Wild West again. These characters are often made out of it. Just imagination. The action has been photographed. This happens to be a letter that I received from Walter Tompkins back in the 30s. And it does prove that he had art in mind. He should have been an artist. You can see that. And Walter called me one day and he said, you know, you're doing some stuff. My characterizations, he said, I think I ought to have one of your originals. He said, I've already got it in the works. I just wanted to tell you. He had called Street and Smith and asked for the permission to have this covered, and I gave it to him. Now this is W.H. Scott, and this was at a loose moment when he was on one of his wild animals at his little ranch in upper state New York. This is the first meeting with this man. It's quite remarkable. This is his studio there, primitive as could be, and it was just jammed full of all kinds of bric-a-brac, of Indian lore, cowboy, saddles, harnesses. It was unbelievable. It should have been a museum, really. Again, wild West country. You notice the resemblance of several of these characters look like Pete Rice. The man that I used as a model was a manager of a Sprouse Wright store in New Rochelle. Muscular, athletic, pretty fair amateur boxer. And he took to it like a duck to water. He just loved to do it. And I used him a lot.
Did you use him for the Savage also, Robert?
Yes, I did. Yeah. This was just to prove that I did know a little bit about horses. And this is the man that I used as a model. This was the first stock Savage that I did. It doesn't look anything like Doc, but he had features that were easily maneuverable under my brush. And I could change him into almost anything. And he could hold a pose forever, being that. That was the first one. If they turn that back, you can see the slight resemblance of this. My wife Marjorie, with Pete Rice. Actually, it was Doc Savage he was impersonating here.
Did you read these stories first, Robert, before you did these covers?
No, I had a synopsis that was given to me by the art director. About a half a page of what went on before and after the incident they thought would be good for cover material. So I didn't bother to read half of it.
Well, could we see the previous photo again?
Yeah. Yep. I'll go back.
Bob, I'm absolutely amazed. I saw Henry Clark there at the school with you.
Yeah.
And he took over Doc Savage right after you.
Well, that's what I didn't know. I didn't know
And
that.
the amazing thing is the difference in the artwork between you and Henry Clark both going to the same school.
Well,
I can't hardly believe it.
the incident happened at a time when the art director, Mr. James, had left Street and Smith. So he had no contact there. If it had been James, he would have made him follow that a little bit closer than like Baumhofer and myself. I finally moved away from the Baumhofer quality a bit, but I didn't lose contact with the characterization. And that was allowed And Mr. James said, go ahead and change it. Said, if you go too far, you'll hear from us. So there wasn't any point in doing a good thing. Here again is about Savage. Now I go to the next one, just give you an idea of what it was. The little monsters at the base of the painting were just pure imagination. The rest was model work. I posed for all the Oklahoma kids, believe it or not. I was a nasty little guy. And I guess it fit the pattern pretty good because they never objected. There's an example, fairly close to it. The other one, that's something, I don't even remember what I posed at for that. Now there, again, is where the photograph comes into just a degree of being defined. It has to be changed to get a little more action. But this will give you an idea. That's close enough. It's just close enough.
Is that March?
No, this one happens to be another girl, but with Marge's approval. Now that was, again, you can see it's quite obvious what I was using there. Well, that was a ham, I know that.
That had to do with stuff. Use that
That hat didn't need a lot of good. And a lot of the other artists used all the stuff we had. So it was a group outfit, group deal. This I don't recall what Pender was posing for, but didn't matter. He was firing a gun. This happened to turn out to be a successful group. We had looked through these Circle J's, and the man in the lower left is Henry Clark, with some alterations, not much. This, would it? Yeah. You looking? Okay. Wood had pointed this out to me because of a picture that he had that was like this, but it was for, what was it, red? That's right. And he said, how'd that happen? He said, it looks like they copied yours. Well, what they did was just drop out the background of this one, which was painted in 1935. And they used it in one, I think it was in 1938. Well, they could do it. They owned the picture. So that's all right. But I was worried that I had missed one. I just put this in because I thought it was nice of Franklin or Hamilton to do this. I don't have the original, so. That always bothered me, that checkered shirt, but it took so damn much longer to do it. Walker Tompkins again. Sonny Cleveland. This was a proof sheet. I sometimes requested proof sheets when there was any changes to be made to see where I could help them. These engravers were pretty touchy people. And they didn't like pay these engravers any overtime if they could help it. The one thing about this particular picture, it's got quite a few letters. The butt of the 45 in the holster has got deep rice. And people didn't believe it. They couldn't believe that I would put that much detail in. These were fun westerns. This Deep Rice series was very good. Exciting series, but it didn't last.
You said that it's an exciting series. This indicates to me that you read some of these in their entirety, whereas you didn't with the docs. Any reason?
I couldn't quite gather all of that.
Yeah, Rusty said that you read some of these stories in their entirety.
Well, that's good, but it doesn't show that I just making some of this stuff up. It followed it close enough. And you can just imagine, read between the lines, and this could have happened. But it made damn good copy. And it made a good action picture. And James said, run it. A lot more fistfights in the Pete Rice Western than Gunsmoke.
Is there any relationship between that time of River of No Return and the movie?
In doing these covers, you're liable to run into almost any kind of subject matter. I'm not an animal painter by any means, but it stretched my imagination enough that I took this situation regardless, and I just had to do it. And it worked out. You try to get the impact to the reader with guns going off, explosive quality, as best you can, with little movements and exaggerations. It's about the only language you have is the end of that brush to do it. Sometimes you can go too far and it looks a little phony. I tried my best to be a little different than the rest of the crowd that was doing these pulps. I guess it worked out that I was always busy. It was more fun to do it this way. Now we've done the doc, and he was a great character. Fun to do.
Robert, somebody in the dock covers that you did, somebody always seems to be holding their forehand out, extended. Any reason for that?
Is there any situation here that you point that out?
Well, for instance, Doc has his hand extended out and almost seeming to say stop in this one. In the next one, it's, I assume it's back or march, does the same thing.
Yeah. It's a matter of showing space. And just a trick of showing space to get yourself foreshortened.
I see.
The foreshortening gets you into it. It's not always easy to do it. If it's not drawn properly, it's a complete failure. It looks odd.
No, it works beautifully. I was just wondering if there was a reason why somebody always seemed to be doing that.
No, I had no particular reason to do it, other than it was just taking an angle on a picture that's a little different.
Beautiful.
There again, that hand is in the foreground. I had not been conscious of that. I'm glad you pointed that out. It's something to think about.
I think it's good. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Creates a three-dimensional
There again. Yeah, I have a bad habit. And a rep nurse said. Well, that's a chance to be in Fairyland for damn sure. And your imaginations can just run wild. You can do anything you want to do. And this was a good chance to try something a little different. James was so eager to see me experiment. He said, I don't know what's going to come next, but he says, I'm going to be excited. And underwater stuff is pretty easy to do. Just put a couple of bubbles in there, you know.
And make the hair flow.
Put it up.
Is that your imitation of Doc's rapid fire? Have you read any descriptions of that?
No, I heard you did. I just made it up. I don't know how the devil the thing works, but it looks fairly plausible.
Yeah.
If it's closely plausible, it'll work. We don't see angels. I did this particular one in about 24 hours. It was a rush job. Had to be in, wasn't any question about it. And I worked around the clock and finished it off, and took it in wet. I think it went to press just a few hours after that.
Why was this one so late?
I don't know. It wasn't my problem. But once in a while, somebody put the hand out in front of you, and I don't know. That's the one that I had in the other room for a while. And this came about through letters that the Pulp fans had found to be enjoyable and wanted a better picture than just a piece off of the cover. So they did, and they had a gigantic run on this picture. One of the first portraits of their characters, and it started a chain reaction. So they started making portraits of their characters. I didn't get in on only this one.
This is who?
Bud Jones of Texas.
Is that a particular model or is it the same?
No, I got a model, especially portraits. I've done the character before, but I had a little different situation with the characterization, so I wanted to get a little more detail. Nobody would ever pick up that little flag unless you really changed it drastically. I could have sold this to Bull Durham several times, but there again, you're always looking for some method for action. Why is this doing this? This happened to just fit. It worked out. I did a few of these Western stories. Not a whole lot, but they came in once in a while. There again, you can recognize the Pete Rice and the Doc Savage model.
Were you always given credit on the title manuscript?
On the cover, yeah. If I put it in there, it stayed. But that's the only time I think later on in some of the Pulps, they did give credit to the artist for the cover, but they didn't at Street and Smith. These were a lot of fun. I was just a kid doing these things, and I just lived it. It was just great fun. It wasn't work, really. Running ranks, I did quite a few of those. The girl in this one is John Falter's wife. John was in the same studio for a while, not the same studio, the same building, in another studio. And she was kind of a frustrated actress, and she was darn good. This is Mrs. Falter again. Anybody that was handy around there was worth it. This is John and myself in my studio in Carefree. John Falter, I'm sorry. He died about a year after this was shot. A grand gentleman, just a wonderful artist. Did a lot of covers for the Saturday Evening Post, as you probably know. A great craftsman. There's that Circle J again. Great group of characters. Always shooting, isn't it? I know. You know, you get to the point where you think, oh my God, how many guns can go off at once? And look logical.
How many covers would you normally do in a month?
3 would be all I would want to tackle, and could handle that pretty well. Sometimes you would work on 2, but not often. They didn't come in that fast, although they reserved the time. I knew that I was going to have it after this one. Complete story was not in my daily. I did a few just to prove something to myself, mostly. No. I don't know what company this complete story. Maybe somebody would. Top notch. A little flying glass.
Robert, you had some of the most beautifully detailed hair and musculature on the arms and hands of anybody I've ever seen. Did you have to take an anatomy class for that or anything?
I sure did. I had the best anatomist, you might say. And a fellow named George Bridgman, who taught at the Art Students League.
Just gorgeous details.
It becomes second nature, believe it or not. After Bridgman's class, you could do anything. A marvelous teacher. My old favorite again. He was a mean little guy, so I tell you. I used to pose in long johns at this because he was 70. He had these tight-fitting breeches that ran fair to his toes. I thought, boy, this is an opportunity.
What did Marge think?
Never asked. But he was one of my favorite characters. I love his character. hope you had some fun with it.
We haven't had as much opportunity to talk with Bob, so let's take a few minutes if you have questions that derive either from the artwork or from anything in his experience or your interest therein. Right here, Rich. Dick. Speak up.
Bob, when you made your covers, did you make a preliminary sketch, rough sketch of what you were going to do?
That preliminary sketch,
Was that part of the picture, or was that aside from the...
everything, outside of the picture itself.
Did you say so?
No, I didn't. I'm trying to pick up a part of it. First draft is the idea. I'm sorry, I can't get used to this. That first draft is submitted to the art director for okay. Then it goes from there back to the studio, and that is refined through photography, redrawing. You don't ever get one shot at a photograph. It's an unfortunate part of it. You have to do a little work. And from that, a color sketch is made over that drawing. Now that is the guide to composing all your color work on that little sketch. And you know, because they're the finished color, it should look like that. And if it doesn't have that impact quickly, you might as well change the whole color scheme, go back, do it again. Quite a bit of work to it, but you get so that you can shorthand an awful lot of it.
What was the medium that you worked in? Oil?
Oil? Yeah.
Did you ever work in anything else for any of the...
Never did. No. I figured if I can accomplish one, I'll well off.
You said that you try to get your streets fit instead of identifying style.
I did.
Why?
Just happened.
Was streets fit better paved, or?
No. But I had always heard of Street and Smith. It was the place to go. It was finally the place I could see that just going to that building at Street and Smith was like stepping into heaven. And smell, oh God, how it smelled. And the printer sheet, the shape of the damn building, it was going night and day. We were printing other things. But I don't think it ever stopped. I think they were afraid to turn the machinery off. It would fall apart. But that sticks with me today, that wonderful aroma.
Over here and then back here.
I noticed that version of Mad Eye.
Speak up so that people can hear you at the far front of the room, please.
I noticed that for the version of Mad Eye that you have, photographs show all the 2 or 3 different poses. On average, how many pictures did you actually take?
It varies, but usually with the camera, if you think you're almost there, you can take 10 around that action. And somewhere along the line, you've got one that's going to be pretty damn good. And that's the way you see it. You just can't take one and say, well, that's it. Although maybe some of the pictures look like it, I don't know. Some of them I did. And that's where I looked at some of these. Some of them, were looking at they weren't that good. You know, if you get something that's just an image that goes halfway to your goal, take it and run with it. As time is going, you can't be late. They don't like you very much when they're late. Well, it's overpaid for this is great, because that's where and they did do that because big piece of change for any maintenance that they work on.
Yeah. Jack, please, we have one ahead of you.
I'm just curious, the publishers own the original copy of this?
No, not necessarily. If they wanted them, they could have it. But 9 times out of 10, they didn't bother. And those that stayed with them were warehouse. And until somebody wanted them, they could go down and take anything they wanted. And that's where a lot of them just disappeared in the West. You'll find out.
My question pretty much, how many of the paintings are you aware of that still exist?
I have no idea. I have an idea somebody's done it. I'm sure that most of those docs were taken up, as well as the Pete Rice. I think of all those pictures, to me, that would be my first selection.
Len?
Just to answer Jones' question back here on the originals, I used to organize auctions for science fiction conventions. Yeah. And sometimes we'd get the back then you could write, they haven't been stuck in the warehouse, but they usually did. Donate them to conventions. So it's interesting, that's why I said when it comes to science fiction artwork, sometimes the artwork, but often the public was still perhaps also, the time came when you couldn't get those anymore because the artist was teaching them. So I'm only the recollection rights.
I'd like to meet that smart artist. Very later of both. It wasn't that they worked pretty close to some good craftsmanship. But I never knew anything in the kitchen. I talked to him about it, and I said, why did you do it? That's the same way you did it. And I said, I understand.
Paul, and then you.
Now you painted a lot of different characters. You painted Pete Rice, you painted Circle J, and Doc Staff. Are there any characters that you really wanted to get a crack at?
No, not that I can think of. Well,
I would personally love to see the shadows.
You know, frankly, that type of thing didn't interest me at all. I was strictly a Westerner, and that's all I wanted to do. And I had my pick because of that to do the Western. I knew a few people that did. The name that I was going to bring up before, this famous name, Gigi. Does that ring a bell to you? Yeah. He got into the shadow and did a pretty fair job. Completely different. But it was pretty damn good. I don't know what he would have done with it. I don't think he wanted anything to do with the Pulp system itself. Renegade.
Your comment as to the artist now caring to get their originals back, and there are probably certainly more of the George Rosen channel covers around than any other Imperial Pulps, and one of the reasons for that is that Jerome Rosen liked his brother's work and picked up the work that his brother didn't care to pick up. Jerome didn't want his own work to bring home, but because with his twin brothers, he brought home a couple dozen of them. And saved them.
Now, what was your question?
No, I was on artists not wanting to be bothered with their own work back then because it just took up space and there wasn't a market for it.
Well, that happened. That happened in the Slick magazines too. As we got into that, the same thing occurred. We didn't want the original. The artist didn't have room to keep this stuff. It was building so fast, and the pace was so fast. You just couldn't do it. You'd have to go to work. So a lot of this great stuff was lost.
Did you ever have any meeting or before with Blumhoff or Rosen and the authors like Gibson and Ben?
Well, unfortunately, there wasn't time. Just wasn't time. As a matter of fact, we didn't see very much of each other as artists. If there was an occasion, like a meeting or something like that, we would all gather. Other than that, we didn't do it. It was a fast pace. No question about it. Took a young man to do it too.
Between Bonhoeffer and you on Doc Savage, there was one cover that no one has been able to identify. Do you have any idea who might have done that cover?
Well, I know that it wasn't me. So you can knock that one off. I wouldn't know. Do you think it's a Bonhoeffer?
No, the other one. Someone suggested it was a John Coulter.
I don't think John,
absolutely
I don't
not.
think so.
Could it be L.P. Cole?
Possibly.
He could be in shadow.
He was at the office, be touching it.
He said he did not. Total.
Well, if there's no more, I'm going to close this off.
I see one.
One last question. Did they ever, after you finished with Savage, first of all, was that your choice? And did they ever reapproach you to
My
do
choice.
Savage later?
My choice.
Your choice. So you weren't interested. Did they ever come back and ask you to do any later?
No, we had an understanding. James and James was positive. I told him, I said, gee, I've got to get out of this business. I've got to leave. And he understood. He said, good luck.
Al's first.
I just wanted some comment.
I just wanted to get what did you want to get into?
I want to get into women's magazines. Women's magazines. And that was all of our goals. Because there was the pay. A little bit more leisure.
Like Red Book?
Red Book was one of the good ones. Cosmopolitan, Good Housekeeping. All of those offered a guy a chance and an opportunity. Once you got into that magazine, the Saturday Evening Post, Ladies and Journal, Fall, you were shooting at people that were interested in the artist's work to do advertising. And it started to flow into my studio and others because they felt that they seeing and women seeing the stuff in the books, they would be the customers if they could read some. Made sense. It worked. Still, I was getting older.
Well, I'd like to then finish with one question. You said earlier, you mentioned 2 or 3 times during the show, that you had shared studio work, posing and so forth with a number of these artists, indicated friendships that were durable and lasting. And then you said in one specific case that you had not heard from or known anything of him for some time. Are there any of your old artist friends that you're still in contact with? Tom, who lives in New Mexico?
San Antonio, New Mexico. He's still working at it, but not in the sense that we think of this for illustration. He's doing some beautiful Western paintings. I mean, beautiful. Wow. Other senses. I think you've been known. Well, Johnny Kleinman, until he died a couple of years ago, was doing that same thing, Westerns. And just gorgeous stuff. Remington and Russell, and Clymer and Lovell. That's it.
Did Tom Lovell work his interiors entirely, both from his own money for the black and white, or while you were sharing the studio, you were doing shadow interiors, did you ever pose for any of the interiors?
No, I never did. He was a fantastic press and could do these things, just had to write a letter. And a good imagination, the facility to do it. I've never seen a model in his studio. I think he used himself. What we did, when we didn't have photographs, we needed photographs. We had large mirrors on the wall. I took one out of the foyer of the building we were in, which is about 7 by 9 feet. And it was heavy. I mean, it was a brute. But you could stand in front of that and act out all these actions. Right now, you knew if it would work or you knew how to improve it. So we used the mirror an awful lot. Tom was an addict. He would look at himself all day long. And he was just grinding out pictures.
Bob, while we were in the room, again, you mentioned the marvelous story about you and Peter and me. You had a great class. Could you share that with us? Visiting there now.
I'm afraid I'd be sued.
He's no longer with us.
Well, I know, but he may have friends.
The last time we talked with him, he claimed he didn't.
I know what you mean. I tell you, I've never met a character like this. As smart as he was, college educated man, spoke 3 languages. And he could draw pretty damn good. But gee, he could pull some shenanigans you wouldn't believe. That's what I was telling him, but I told him to repeat it. No, I can't do it.
We'll ask Tom to put it in writing.
It'll be in the next issue of the Pulp. That's your age.
And I just blow for it, plain.
I guess he was in trouble more than he was accepted because he was some guy. And what he told me, I thought I want to believe it, and yet I couldn't quite accept these things. And I heard from other people what he had done. And lots of it was legitimate. He served in the service. He was a paratrooper. He was in the secret service of the Army. And he got out. How he ever did it, I don't know. But he should have been a professional soldier.
Well, if you can't tell us about great classes, can you tell us about any unnamed artists you had dinner with? Good, some artists here doesn't have hair. No names. I mean, did anything interesting ever happen while you were having dinner with another artist?
You're not going to hear a damn thing.
Tony, you're making him feel like the president right now.
There you go.
Unless we have further serious questions. All right, fine.
I visited Bob Harris in his studio, and he showed me his book with all the tear-out sheets of all the covers he had done. And I'm leafing through all of these pulp covers with brawny men of action poses, and in vivid reds and yellows and blues, all primary colors. And then you turn over the page, and you find his first cover for Liberty magazine. It's a completely different artist. It was cute little girl in pastel shades, beautiful drawing, but not the same artist at all.
That's what I wanted to get into.
Little girl.
Where she is tonight. Well,
I think I can.
I don't know. I look back on myself and I was down at the work. Not that it's good, but the fact that I was just there tonight.
Well, I think I can safely say for everybody in the room, except some sour grouch of some sort, that we've had 2 delightful evenings with our guests of honor here. And I want to thank both of you very, very much from the heart for being here and sharing some of your experience